Hello. So I want to talk about rest and my experience over time of being a performer, being a Buddhist practitioner, studying yoga nidra, and what I feel like is a state of rest. And what I mean by that is the multidimensional spectrum of the word rest. It's not just getting in the covers, laying down, and going to sleep. Rest is a state that is achievable in any moment in your life if you allow your body to relax to a certain point where you can let go of yourself, even just for a moment. And this is what I think that rest is. Whether you're walking down the street and you take a breath and you're able to let go of that thought you were just thinking, or your sense of urgency, or your attachment to anything, who you are, who I am as a performer, who I am as a daughter. And in that moment, I release all of those things and I'm able to see the limitless possibility of this moment now. And when that happens, I notice the colors in the moment. I might have a vision come up in my body. I might feel a sense of connectedness to the sun in a way that I wouldn't have felt if I was in my, mm, I don't want to call it an everyday state. I want to call it a constructed state of identity that we're given as we come into this world in this society. We're given our gender, we're given our, the way that we should think, the way that family should be. We're just so many things are constructed and handed for us to us. If we can take a breath and relax, all of that stuff goes away and we can become anything we want to become, which is great. And anything is possible. So that's one example of rest, is just that breath back into the present. Another example, um, I'll go to the most obvious one next, and that is when you do curl up and you go to bed and you go into that deep dream space. In that space, in that rest space, that's when our body heals. And I think that that's possible because in that space, all of, again, our ideas of who we are relaxed. We actually become a bit of a butterfly, a bit of a caterpillar that's turned itself into goop in the cocoon and is reimagining its the way that it, can be, the possibilities in this imago goop. Um, it's one of the phases of that the butterfly goes through, the cocoon, and then it turns into soup, this imaginal soup. So I think that's what that dream space is. And in that space, because we can let go of all of our senses of identity, anything is possible. That's why rest is such a space of healing, because the cells get to relax and release and imagine possibilities. For instance, in the dream space, I can show up in a dream space and be myself, but look like a deer. Or my mother shows up in the dream space and looks like my aunt. Or I may be talking and the voice that comes out of my mouth is not mine. Or I have the power to turn tea into chocolate milk, whatever it is, hot cocoa. That's my favorite drink. Um, Anything becomes possible. And I think in that space of complete surrender of identity, healing can happen. Because just a little note here, a lot of what brings us to dis-ease or disease in our lives is our attachments to our stories. I will just say that and end that right there. So that's that deep space of rest where your body goes, you become everything, all possibility. Another example of this space of rest that I have experienced in my life is as a performer. I'll share this experience of being in an acting class with this woman, Ellen Ornstein. She was one of my favorite teachers at Marymount Manhattan. And I was studying um, Suzuki theater technique. It's a Japanese form of theater. And it is really, really connected to the earth. So there's a lot of stomping exercises. There's this this practice called weight underside, and you are putting all of your attention onto where your body meets the earth and onto the gravity that you feel your body connected to the earth. This is a space of meditation. I thought it was beautiful that this was a gateway, a portal to performance. And since then, it's just been that way for me, this intense focus on the weight of my body and surrendering to that. In that space of rest, if that's all I'm focused on, everything else dissipates. In a way, I lose a sense of who I am. And the reason why that's so genius in the technique of acting is because then you can become anything, any person, anything, any energy that's needed in the creative flow of the moment. That is rest. That is rest. This deep presence, deep focus, momentary surrender. In those spaces also is our ability to connect with the unseen world and the world of nature. The world of nature does not communicate to us in a linear, logical, literary way. Nature communicates in a space of sensation and sensuality. You walk through the forest and your body starts to feel at rest because in order to really receive all the offerings of the forest, you have to soften. You have to relax. And then you can feel the breeze brushing past your face. You can feel the softness of the soil. You can look at the spider, sense and feel the energy, the creativity, the wisdom, the communication of that beautiful entity that is the spider. You can feel and sense and talk to the trees. And so this space where we're able to communicate with the earth is a more relaxed and rested place. And in that place, again, we are letting go of our attachments, our sense of identity, our sense of self. We are allowing infinite possibility in the very moment. The possibility that we might feel and sense from the earth below us. The possibility that we might pick up a frequency of character and jump on that frequency and become a different person. The sense of rest, the possibility of anything being possible inside of your dreams. So that is what I'll say, is that this is just my experience. You don't have to agree with me, but I really feel like This is what I mean when I say, let's rest. Let's let go of who we think we are for a moment and allow infinite possibility to emerge. One last thing, the more we access this space of rest in our day to day life, as we're walking through our world, as we prepare to sleep and dream at night, the more we're intentional when we access this space, I think the more answers will come to the problems of the world. Because I think we're too attached to what we think we know. And if we can let go of all of that and let something unknown come, emerge from us through this space of rest, then I think we will be in a much better position to meet the challenge of the world with creativity, with expansiveness, innovation, embodiment, connectivity, interconnectivity. Thank you for listening to my talk on rest.